Welcome to Lost Girl Therapy. When it comes to identity development, it can take years to figure out what works for you and what doesn't when it comes to bringing yourself closer to who you want to become. Welcome to Lost Girl Therapy. On the journey to identity development, there are many things that I did to become the person that I am today, and it took me years to do. But I have narrowed these down into steps because if you are somebody who's on the identity journey and you're like, what the hell does that mean? How do I become who I want to become and where I want to go and what I want to do? This is how I did it. Remember that I did this over the course of like 5 to 10 years. Just to let you know. But if you want to kick off this journey, see what happens. The root of this is, if you are trying to become a version of self that you are more aligned with than the version of you that you are right now, you have to tip the scales from practices that take you away from you to practices that bring you closer to you. Practices that take you away from you, I term erratic practices. They're basically just like the chaos where we leave our soul behind and we go and we do something, and after the fact we're like, damn, that didn't really feel so hot. Why did I do it? Okay? So if I start with 10 practices that take me out of myself, that could be people pleasing, that could be engaging with individuals that I actually don't feel good around, that could be having unhealthy relationships with partners. It could mean anything. If I have 10 of those, I now have to get over 50% by introducing 5 new healthy practices. 6 technically if I'm going over 50%. And here's what I did. First thing I did was I looked at my closet and I started dressing for myself, not for attention. This was really freaking challenging in my 20s because I had grown up learning how to dress for the male gaze. And so when I needed to learn how to dress for myself, I would feel that constant battle every single day being like, I want to wear XYZ, but this is going to get me more attention. Staying in the space of I want to wear this and I'm going to wear this brings you closer to yourself. The second thing was I created a practice, and I had a different practice every single year that I invested in. So 1 year I learned how to do yoga, 1 year I took voice lessons, 1 year I did cross stitch, 1 year I learned sign language. I always did something, and I did it in secret, and that is really important. I didn't tell anybody about it. I basically was just like, I do this thing on Mondays at 6 p.m. and I invest in myself. And I liked the secretive nature of it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a secret, but I liked the secretive nature of it because nobody was holding me accountable except for myself. No one would know if I canceled voice or if I didn't go to yoga class except for me. And when you skip that class or when you choose not to go, you're going to get all of those feelings, and you're going to say, I'm choosing not to go because I don't feel well today, or I'm choosing not to go because I don't feel like I do not want to show up for me. Those are 2 different sets of feelings, and you will learn how to navigate both of them. So you need a practice that holds you accountable for a hobby or something that you want to learn how to do. I just happen to have 4 because I did this over the course of a lot of years. The third thing was I ended relationships and friendships that did not serve my highest self and didn't feel aligned with me. I did not do this all in one shot. They were many friendships and relationships that I had to end over the course of these 5 years. But the key to the ending was being able to hold myself accountable and being able to voice to the other person why this relationship did not work. As somebody who has disorganized attachment and as somebody who was a people pleaser, it was incredibly difficult for me to be able to say, hey, I did XYZ in this relationship. And oh, by the way, your actions made me feel this way. Because people pleaser in me says, don't say anything. Don't voice anything. Definitely do not say something because they're not going to like you. So being in a space of being able to say like, hey, I can own my role in this. And I can own that my feelings were hurt by your actions was actually very freeing. Did it take practice? Yes. Was I always good at it? No. Were there relapses? Of course. But we made it. Number 4, you need some version of movement that is not performative, but a version of movement that brings you closer into a healthier relationship with your body. For me, that was yoga, but I will tell you when I first started practicing it, I had actually gone through a breakup, so the entire thing was performative. I literally got on the mat because I kept falling. I tripped on ice 3 times. And I went to yoga as a giant FU. It was just watch, I can stand on one foot, and I was immediately humbled. But I went back to yoga and I redeveloped my practice because it actually made me feel safer, more comfortable, and more accepting of my physical body to a point that I actually learned how to love it. Yoga is not right for everybody, but any practice that allows you to do that is a great practice to introduce. The sixth thing I did, meditation. I don't mess with meditation. I do it every single day. It's just one of those things that brings you closer to yourself. The second thing I did was journaling. Journaling was pivotal in me getting out all of the shame that I had accumulated from being a previous version of self to the woman that I wanted to become. Now, that's 7 practices, okay? I'm going to be perfectly straight with you. I kept 3 chaotic practices for the majority of the time that I was doing this work. And each time that I did those practices, I would feel really good for the first 5 minutes. I would feel like I was getting away with something. And then immediately afterwards, I was like, ugh, I hate this. It almost felt like I let myself down. It doesn't mean that I didn't do that practice again. It just means that over time, I stopped doing that practice. It was not like cold turkey, a one-shot deal. There were plenty of times where I went back and I did stuff that my old version of self would do. And then suddenly I was like, why am I doing this? I've had enough. I don't want to treat myself this way. And that is because I had so many practices. I had 7 out of 10 practices that taught me what it meant to respect and care and love myself. That when I didn't do it, I felt like poo. And eventually those practices died down and I replaced them with healthier practices that were not performative and not for other people. They were purely for me. If you are somebody on the identity journey and you are trying to figure out who you are, where you're going, what you're doing, try adding one of these at a time to see what aligns and what doesn't. This is just the way that I did it. This is the way that brought me closer to self. But remember that it's a constant negotiation. Not every single day is perfect. And one of the things that came out of this was really breaking perfectionist tendencies. Because when I would do a chaotic practice or re-engage with somebody who I should not have a relationship with, and then I went to yoga the next day, I didn't have the time or the energy to beat myself up about doing that. I could only focus on the present and focus on showing up for myself today. That is how I broke the perfectionist tendencies. I literally had no choice but to focus on the present to such a degree that I could not live in the past.